alcohol must be criminalized because it reduces man to the realm of an animal by destroying his moral and ethical values, by destroying his intellectual and rational faculties, above all, taking away his intuitive faculties. And therefore, it must be criminalized. And especially those who are promoting the liquor, they have this selfish interest. As long as man is an animal, a man who is given to drinking, he spends all his money on drinks. The first cup he may enjoy, and then the temptation is for a second cup, and then it goes on, he goes on drinking. All his money goes into the coffers of those who manufacture the drink, and he becomes a slave. He loses his human values, and therefore drinking must be criminalized.
Dr. Makan, people who drink rather are your slaves, and you are cashing in on it, or rather the producers of alcohol are cashing in on that.
First of all, I'm not a producer of alcohol, so I'm not cashing in on anything. But again, I point out what you are trying to address, and I have now the sense, what you're trying to address are the consequences of alcohol abuse. And we are fully behind addressing those consequences. But the majority of the people who drink responsibly. We cannot punish the majority of people who do things responsibly for the sake or because of a minority who are irresponsible. I mean, there is absolutely no sense of justice in that. I mean, those people, for instance, who contract HIV/AIDS because of unsafe sex, by this argument, one would have to say that one needs to criminalize sex because there is a minority who might contract the disease because of irresponsible behavior. That logic doesn't apply. The majority of the people who do drink responsibly. And there are scientifically based recommendations that come from many, many scientific sources that defines what responsible drinking is for those who are not at risk.
I'd like to go back to, a Muslim brother. What would be your response to that? A lot of people are drinking responsibly, according to Dr. Makan.
See, also alcohol advertising seems to a large extent being aimed at the poor. So the poor use it as a form of
You're
escapism.
saying a lot of things.
Poor.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can we just cut for a moment? Yeah, but Nyagoza, because you're saying a lot of things and then you make me lose my train of thoughts. Bilal, Dr. Makan says here that a lot of people are drinking responsibly. Then why should it be a problem?
I think you see alcohol advertising is aimed to a large extent at the poor. And the poor use indulging in alcohol as a form of escapism. The problems they're facing, the easiest thing to do is to drink and, to forget about it for the moment. And that's going back to the argument earlier about by criminalizing alcohol, we're going to increase the unemployment rate and increase poverty and increase crime. But I disagree. I think that crime and poverty and unemployment are problems that we need to deal with. And by criminalizing alcohol, we are solving other problems that exist already. And but that still means we need to sort out the problem of poverty, crime, etc. And also, I mean, with doctors' reasoning, then people can say, no, but I'm a responsible dacha smoker, or I'm a responsible drug user. So why should I be stopped from responsibly using a drug which is killing me, or alcohol which is also harming me, just because somebody else might abuse it? Or, I mean, if we're comparing the use of arguments like that, that's why I disagree.
Okay. Mama Mtlatsi, I'd just like to find out from you, you're a tavern owner. So do you not find a lot of cases where people are abusing alcohol and they literally crawl out of your tavern after a lot of drinks?
Na hangata konna batho ba nang konna ke batho ba ba godileng ba setse ba sebetsa le youngster. Mara a ke sone le yona problem ya gore ha ba tswa ba thekisela ba wa mo ditrateng gore ba chaisana le dikoloi tse ding or ha ba fitla ko magaeng balo ka gore gangata ebe ba shebile gore bana ba tlo ithabisa go tloga mo ba tsamaya ba ya gae.
Pastor, I'd like to go back to, alcohol having been used as a manipulator to take control of people and to take care of their property because, their minds are dulled. What is your view on that?
Well, I support that view 100%. I think it is absolutely true because alcohol, liquor brings about confusion in the mind. And it is there in the Bible, in Isaiah chapter 28, verse 7. It does bring confusion in the mind. How best can you control, manipulate people or dominate people other than having their minds dulled? And this was a most important imperialistic weapon that was used by imperialists, to take over land that had been occupied by the natives, quote unquote, of that continent. And we see it again and again. And we are saying that alcohol, even today, it is a powerful instrument to manipulate individuals. People who are selling liquor, they are not selling liquor as a pastime. They are selling liquor for their own selfish ends. They are selling liquor to make profit, full stop. And that is why they are selling liquor. Not because it is a popular pastime, not to get the people to become happy. They are in it to make people drunk. I have yet not come across a single shebeen owner who would say, after you have taken 2 glasses, it's enough, go home. I know of shebeen queens, shebeen owners, I know of shebeen owners who will say, when the money is finished, now you can go. But before the money is finished, you cannot go. So is there responsible drinking? I say, no, there is not. Prevention is better than cure. I am saying this, Mbali, because I come from a alcohol and drug rehabilitation clinic. I see the havoc, the destruction of alcohol on a daily basis.
Well, Pastor, let's find out from Mema Motlatsi, do you send people home after they've had maybe 1 or 2 drinks, helping them to be responsible drinkers?
No, a ke ba romele gae, ba setse ba inwela bona ka nako ya bona be ba tsamaya.
Why not say have DACA responsibility? Remember, DACA is an illicit illegal. We're talking legal, legal, socially acceptable. So there's a difference here. Then also, they've been focusing.
Sorry, we're gonna have to start again.
Are we ready to stand by? 4, 2. Kumbali. Can you Kumbali to Ozan? Ozan Kumbali.
Mema Motlatsi, do you, after people have had a drink or 2, do you send them home, helping them to be responsible drinkers?
No, a ke ba romele gae. Ya ka batlile ba itse ba tlo itulela ba nwa some few drinks. Ke ba tlogela le bo teacher I did Fridays ba tla ga sekolong bana le gotla ba tlo phumola ganyane for 1 hour, 1.5 hours.
Yeah, but that is a lot of drinks, an hour, 1.5 hours.
Ha ba nwe ya ba nwa gantle. And then be ba bua ba laela gantle ba tsamaya ba re tla go bona or the next week or ha dikolo di kwetswe. Ha nke ke ba nka ke ba tsamaisa ba itsamaela.
Okay, so
Le
when
ba ba
mama what?
sebetsang ba tla ba tlo nwa ba tsamaya ba kuma ba banka ba reka bojwala ba yona di family tsa bona go dintlong tsa bona. A ke so utlwe go twe ba lwanile.
But what steps do you take as a tavern owner to help them drink responsibly? Is there anything that you do in particular?
Ba a ke bona ba ba imetelang ena ha nke ba ino go fitisa tekano.
I
Ba
mean, in any
imetela
case-
motho ke yana a imetelang.
And in any case, badala banamapasi, so bazozibonela.
No, ba imetela motho wa imetela wa utlwa le ene gore ke nwele enough. Ene go na le batho ba bang maybe ba o tshwere di pint tse 2 ke tshwere di pint tse 2. Ha di fela mo nna tlhoga kae ka ra se tlhele bereka wena ha di fela mo wena o ntse o dutse gantle. Wa e bona ntho
What,
eo?
what happens in a case where kunestagwa mama like and she starts or he starts causing trouble ko taverning because unule haholo?
Ai so etsagale ga ngata.
Or you've never had an experience like that? Okay. Sure. I need to translate to you guys what the lady was saying there. Basically, there isn't really something that she does, particularly to help people drink responsibly.
Quiet on the floor. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, buddy.
Shamim, why shouldn't we then, promote responsible dagga smoking, since it's also a mind-altering drug?
I think the question here is a socially acceptable legal drug as compared to an illicit drug. So dagga is an illicit drug right now, so I don't even think we should be going that way.
But what we're asking is, shouldn't it be made illegal?
Yeah. Sorry.
Very low. Thank you very much.
You're going to ask again?
Okay, I'll give you the question again.
4.
Shamim, why not have responsible dagga smoking, since dagga is also a mind-altering drug?
Most certainly, but I think we're talking socially acceptable legal drug as compared to an illicit illegal drug. So I don't think we should be making the comparison. But as Sanka, we're saying, to a certain extent, I'm agreeing with Bilal here, because if you're going to try it, you're going to get hooked on it. Experimentation will lead to it, and that will apply to the dagga side of it. On the alcohol side, it can apply as well. And as a Muslim, I'm in agreement with Bilal, because why do Muslims not drink? Because we know that it's going to reach the point of intoxication if you carry on drinking, or if you have more than 2 or 3. So we'd rather stay away. But we're saying know the consequences of it, and then it's use versus abuse.
Patrick, do you think alcohol is bad for everyone, or maybe you are just a special case?
I'm very clear about the fact that I am sick, I'm an alcoholic, and the people in Alcoholics Anonymous, all of them have diagnosed themselves, and they've been able to find out that their lives are unmanageable as a result of taking alcohol. So that we don't look at what about the opinion about other people. We don't go into controversy. The important thing is about me. And I'm saying if anybody has a problem with alcohol or realizes that he can't control it, then that person has an opportunity to find help in Alcoholics Anonymous. Because our premise is we start from the point that we are powerless over alcohol. We cannot control it. We cannot stop when we want to stop. And in that way, it has destroyed our lives. So once you are in that position, when you come to Alcoholics Anonymous, then you will learn a way and find a solution of getting to be sober. But even before you become an alcoholic, if you drink alcohol and you realize that sometimes you lose control, you might be an alcoholic. It would be helpful to come to Alcoholics Anonymous to find out from the experience of other people if you are not on the same path. Because unfortunately, alcoholism is a disease that tells you that you don't have it.
Would you say that alcohol should be criminalized?
I wouldn't say anything about that, because as a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, I do not take any stand in that. I'm only standing on the point that if you are having a problem with alcohol, if when you have taken alcohol, things happen in your life, then come to Alcoholics Anonymous. We have a solution. I am evidence of that.
Sadhu, wouldn't you say that there are positives to alcohol? I mean, in a celebration or a gathering, alcohol makes merry. Why not indulge a little bit?
You see, happiness is a state of the mind. It can be obtained through moral and ethical means. For example, now we have a rock and roll dance. Sometimes it makes a man low in his sexual values, it kindles sexual pleasures in him. But at the same time, you find a very sacred dance in a bhajan or in a satsang, people dance in a very ecstatic state. Both are dances. One makes a man come down to the realm of an animal, kindling the animal pleasures, kindling the sensual pleasures in him. The other one takes his mind to a higher state where he is elevated to a realm of devotion to the deity or whatever god he is worshipping. So, for pleasure, drinking alcohol, it is not going to elevate you to a higher position, it is going to bring you down only to the lower position, and therefore it should not be allowed.
Andile, doctor here is saying, or rather Usadu here is saying that, you know, drinking alcohol brings you to a state of an animal or to the level of an animal. And, you know, you can be happy because happiness is a state of the mind. Why do you need something to help you to be happy?
No, you know what? You don't really need it to be happy. And about this coming down to the state of animal thing, you know what? I don't have an opinion on that one. But I would like to agree with the good doctor over there who said basically we need to deal with the consequences of the abuse itself, not the consumption of itself. Understand? I mean, as experienced people say here, that if you do it responsibly, there is not a problem. Understand?
Thanks, Andile. You know, I'd like to get some closing statements from some of our guests since we've run out of time. Dr. Tebehadi, your final statements on this topic.
I still concur very strongly that, you know, alcohol is wrong. I think alcohol must not be legalized. And I say that it must be criminalized because it has brought unbelievable devastations in the home, even outside the home. It has affected the economy of this country. People who drink have contributed to the non-production, you know, of this country. I say it is not right. We must not allow it completely. Can I just conclude by saying that I believe that those who are manufacturing alcohol are drug pushers. May I also add?
Maybe you should end it on that point, but that's a powerful point to end it on. Shamim, before I go back to my debaters there, what would be your closing statement on the topic?
My closing statement is education and prevention, or educate yourself. And I'm saying if you know the consequences, you're not going to take it. Or you'll know whether you're going to take it for a small period, a short time, however. So from early, educate and know what the consequences of that is.
Dr. Makan, your closing statement?
I agree with Shamim. In societies where there is education and prevention modalities in place, like many countries in Europe, Canada, there is widespread responsible use of alcohol, and we don't see the kind of consequences you are talking about here. And one of the reasons why we have that in this country is because of the history to do with alcohol and the lack of education at school level. And we have lobbied very hard, and I'm glad to say that at least from next year, lifestyle education will include alcohol.
Satu, finally, why should alcohol be criminalized?
The goal of human life is to go to a higher state, not to come down to a lower state. Alcohol brings man down to a lower state, and therefore it should not be allowed.
Thank you. Your closing statement, starting with you, Team A.
Definitely alcohol should be criminalized. Why? We have reached a decision that yes, the minority, being those irresponsible alcohol abusers, are damaging the majority. Therefore, we should criminalize it, because who is getting hurt in the end? The large majority.
Team B, why shouldn't we criminalize alcohol?
We cannot make choices for people who don't do things responsibly. So what we should do instead, we should just educate them how to use it properly instead of just criminalizing for everybody.
Finally, Bilal, what would be your closing statement?
I think alcohol should be criminalized because, I mean, even though we say small amounts or responsible drinking doesn't lead to all the negative consequences, but by consuming small amounts, it leads to consuming bigger amounts, which leaves the door open